Hello, everybody, and welcome to our session on What's New from BETT with Google for Education. My name's Anu, and I am joined by...
Simon Fasola, and welcome to the Anu and Simon Show.
Yay! And today we are going to run through 4 different exciting things. The first is going to be Google Workspace Studio, followed by our celebrity guests, Gemini for Education and Notebook LM.
And then we're going to move over to Google Classroom, one of your favorite tools, and Class Tools, exciting developments there.
Wow.
But Anu, before we get into the first section, and dear viewers, I'm already distracted, and I want to go off script already. I'm including a bonus round, if you can imagine that. So we have some big news. We're expanding access to Gemini in Workspace.
Wow.
Yes. And what does that mean? Well, we're adding Gemini in docs, slides, sheets, vids, and forms to education for all Education Plus and teaching and learning customers for our 18 plus users. So this is on top of all the access to Gemini for Education and Notebook LM that you already have. But it's more about the integration of Gemini in those collaborative tools. So for example, the power to help you write, summarize directly in Google Docs, or perhaps like the ability to instantly generate full quizzes and surveys and forms.
Lovely.
So yeah, exciting news. We know that our customers are already doing amazing things with these tools. We're really looking forward to hearing more from you on your favorite use cases. So please don't be shy. We're actually here to have a good time this morning. So if you want to share your favorite use cases and how you've been using the tools in the stream and share with the community, please do that. We would love that.
Drop it in the chat. Now, Simon, some people might argue that admin tools are less cool than teaching and learning features. What would you say to those people?
I would say that they're wrong.
Okay.
I would say admin controls are extremely cool and important. And we know that you've been wanting more control around AI access, and we're bringing that. So the ability to configure AI access by OUs, groups across all the workspace surfaces. So, docs, slides, sheets, vids, etc. And all these controls are going to be launching in the next few months.
Exciting. Okay.
So now we can begin with our first topic, Google Workspace Studio.
And that's not to be confused with Google AI Studio, which is where you build AI-first applications. Am I right, Simon?
You are right.
There we go.
And bonus points for mentioning AI Studio as well. So that's correct. Workspace Studio is a workflow automation tool. It's a hub, and you're going to love it. Yeah.
So what is it? What does it do?
Good question. So let's talk it through. As I mentioned before, it's a hub. It's a no-code automation hub that you can go to that helps you build your own AI assistants, your own agents to handle that repetitive admin work that usually eats up a lot of your teaching and teaching time or your admin time. So, unlike traditional automation, those AI agents built with Gemini can reason through complex, bespoke problems. I think that's the key, right? Like your literal issues and how you want these tools to work for you. And the beautiful thing is you can do it with plain English. You can work with these tools very simply. So you can use it to create flows. We call them flows. So it uses this very simple logic, like if this, then that logic, and adds a brain, which is Gemini, in the middle to make decisions for you. So really wonderful. And think about it as like a very powerful personal assistant that can take action according to your previous instructions. So it could read your email, summarize long documents, organize drive folders, draft emails automatically, and there's no coding required, which is wonderful, plain English.
Now, I know that Simon's worked on some demos to show you, but first, who can access this? Where can we find it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find it at studio.workspace.google.com. Feel free to have a look now if you haven't looked before. It's available to all Workspace for Education editions.
So it's free?
Correct.
Wow.
So should we get a little edugentic, Anu?
Please, let's get edugentic.
Is that too much? So let's start with some demos. So imagine the first one here. I want to walk you through something we cooked up earlier. So imagine all those repetitive tasks you might have as a school leader or teacher.
Yeah.
Same type of email. You might want to set up. Here's a great example. I'm just going to click play and walk through this. So this flow is producing an email to be sent out 5 minutes after an English additional language or English as a second language class,
Mm-hmm.
and we want it to perform an action. Look how easily with a prompt it creates the draft framework here.
Nice.
And we're going to start with a calendar action. We want to extract notes of the meeting. And then what we want to do is we want to have Gemini get those action items and translate them into Spanish, please. Because that's the class, right?
Nice.
And then we want to get Gemini to draft the email, and we say the magic words.
Hey presto,
or
abracadabra.
Thank you. And then you finally see that inbox is drafted. It's ready. The email's drafted in your inbox, ready to go for your final review before you decide to send.
That's amazing. So the human is once again always in the loop, Simon.
Correct.
Fantastic.
Very, very important.
What else?
And before we, I will say this as well, like, as we go through some of these demos and have these conversations about Workspace Studio, think about how you would use these tools. It'd be really interesting, and feel free to share that in the chat too. So I wanted to share this slide because it's great news that, yes, you can create flows from scratch, but you can also have them in a box ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So plenty of templates that you see here. I'm going to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
Send me summaries and action items after meetings. Extremely helpful to keep people like me on track.
Absolutely. And me.
And you, running theme, distraction and keeping us focused. So, and the other one I want to point out is notify me about urgent email. So I've been using this a lot lately. So if you've got a million emails in your inbox, but you need to know those urgent ones, and you want to make sure that the SOS gets to you,
Mm-hmm.
you can switch this on really simply, and you get a neatly summarized urgent emails that get served to you in a Google chat. So really, really helpful, just as a couple of examples.
This is really cool.
Yes. I'm going to take you through another one. So imagine an example where you want to, you're scrambling to prepare for a meeting. That happens a lot. I'm sure it happens with you too. And you can start a flow to really help you with that, right? So here we go. We're setting up a flow. This is a weekly physics research sync, and we're going to configure this to run. As you see, we're using a pre-built flow there, but then we tweak it. So configuring it to run 10 minutes before the meeting starts. We can set parameters as well. If there's anything new, great. If there don't do anything, sorry. If there's nothing new, if there is something new, we can. And then basically we move to the summarize step, and we've customized the prompt to extract specific attendees, research updates, and the like. Set it to notify me in chat, turn the workflow on.
Cool.
And before the call, you get a ping. Instead of digging through all those different docs, you've got all that great information in the task list, and you can walk into that meeting fully prepped and ready to go.
Oh my gosh. Imagine that. So it all just comes naturally into your chat.
Exactly.
This is great. I think we have one more, right?
We've got one more. So, Anya, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you manually downloading invoices and typing data into spreadsheets?
No comment, Simon.
Okay, well, let's say that you are. And let's say that you are out there. Let's stop that right now. We can automate that workflow right from the inbox. So let's play through this demo here. And basically, we're going to use the auto add emails attachment to drive folder pre-flow. And we're going to take a step further. So we get to the extract step. We're going to ask Gemini to read the attachment, define specific fields. So company name, date, invoice amount, right? Just whatever you want. Then once it's set, you click it on, turn it on, and you'll see, here's an example of it in action. There's an email in the inbox for an invoice, and the PDF saved to a specific drive folder, which is great. And even better, Gemini's extracted the data, logged it into a tracker automatically, no manual data entry required.
Oh my goodness.
And I will just say this as well. Imagine applying that flow to like the use case of permission slips.
Yeah.
Or like field trips, right? Instead of manually typing next to names, dietary requirements, you can have flows pulling all that information automatically for you.
That's a really good point, actually. I'd love to hear from our listeners, watchers, maybe even our fans in the chat about how they might consider using flows. Thanks so much, Simon. Is it back to me in the studio?
It is back to you in the studio.
Perfect. So quick question, quick fire round. Which one? Gemini for Education app or Notebook LM? Go, go, go.
I'm going to say Gemini for Notebook, LM for Education.
What? Well, the good news is that you don't need to be confused. Today, we're going to talk about Gemini for Education, which is the app, and then Notebook LM. And guess what? You can get both for free. So often we get asked about, is there a catch to this free offer? And we want to respond by saying it is here to stay. And more excitingly than that, we can allow you in your education domains to use Gemini app, use our tools, and your data is private and secure. So let's go through what that means when we talk about enterprise grade security. Your data is your own. It is not reviewed by any humans. It does not go back to train any models. It is your own. And this is something we really want to double down on because it is GDPR compliant, amongst being compliant with many other global frameworks, and it is ready for you to use. So if you want to get started.
Yeah, I mean, what do schools do? What do trusts do? Where do they go?
It's a great question. So if you have your phones up or you want to snap that QR code, that will take you to a place where you can start to set up Gemini and Notebook LM in your institutions. But we haven't got time for that now. Send that across to your IT admins, get them to go to gemini.google.com and set this up for you for free. We've even included a handy little link with Gen AI resources straight from Google to help you on your journey. Now, we're going to start by talking a little bit more about how exactly Notebook and Gemini play together. So imagine if you could utilize all of your resources from Notebook and add it as a source in Gemini, meaning that you get greater responses, deeper responses. Like we play nicely with other tools, we play nicely with our own tools. And now we talk a lot about cognitive offloading with AI, and it's very, very important that we think about how do all of those wonderful learning science principles fuse nicely with our tools. And we're going to take you back to maths class with Mr. Fasolo. And this is quite close to your heart, right, Simon? Because
yeah, my father was a maths teacher.
Mr. Fasolo.
Very strict maths teacher. So yeah, this is a little bit traumatic, but thank you, Annie.
We're just unpicking those wounds. So if we play through this demo that Simon and I created earlier, this is a tool called guided learning, and guided learning is available to you within the Gemini app. And again, we stress this is free. This is free for your students to use. This is free for you to use. Now, in this case with guided learning, imagine a student has some homework and they don't know who to go to. They maybe haven't had time with their parents or carers or teachers. So they go to Gemini and they say, hey, how do I solve this equation that Mr. Fasolo gave me in class? Now, this was a common theme when I was growing up. I would think, okay, gosh, how do I do this? Maths was never my strong point, but, I did learn to love it at some point. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What does this mean? How many people out there were like, what is this? Now, guided learning has nicely told us that, okay, this is the Pythagoras theorem, and here is how you go about answering it. But can you see how it's been like, okay, but do you actually have a specific triangle that Mr. Fasolo has given you? So then it makes me think as a student, yes, he did give me a triangle. It was two-sided. Here are the measurements. And I believe we were discussing this earlier, that this is actually an isosceles triangle. But we're not in a maths lesson now, folks. So going back to the guided learning demo, what we can see is that it's told me which of the letters is my hypotenuse, how exactly I go about calculating it. But this still isn't quite getting me to what I need to do. So A and B are 3 centimeters, but what does it mean when we talk about it being squared? And this is exactly the kind of step-by-step coaching that some students like me would have required. So as we wait for this to load, we're going to see, is it just going to give us the answer? What do you reckon? Or is it going to coach us through the next steps?
I think I know.
It's going to coach us through the next steps. So now it's taken us to that really nice scaffolded answer where it's 1 squared plus 3 squared equals the answer. So that's a really short example of how you can play with guided learning and how it can benefit your students. We're going to skip past that slide because we've already talked about it. But we are going to talk about some exciting things in classroom, aren't we, Simon?
Yes, absolutely. So
we've shifted from the what if
to the we might or we are. And you've just seen on the previous demo, guided learning, like we're creating a personal tutor for every student, but we're also creating a personal assistant for every educator and leader, right? So like, how do we help educators and leaders as well with our tools.
Amazing. So people might say that we've arrived.
They might.
So we hear a lot about Gemini supporting educators and leaders to save time. There's an amazing case study in Northern Ireland where Gemini is now supporting teachers and leaders with, I think it's about 10 hours per week per teacher. But thinking about beyond just saving time, what about inspiring creativity, enhancing that teaching and learning experience? And importantly,
it does all of this while keeping your data private and secure, which is critical.
Amazing. And we've come across this messaging earlier on in the deck, but it's worth highlighting again. What does enterprise grade security mean, Simon?
And yeah, I'm glad you asked. And repetition is important, right? So it means when we're using Gemini, Notebook LM, any of our Gemini features in classroom within your school or trust or institution's education domain, it's GDPR compliant. There's no human or no machine reviewing the data, and it won't be used to train the model, importantly, as well. So it's very private and secure. And now, Anu, our listeners can even use Gemini in classroom. Shall we have a whiz through how that works?
Let's do it. Okay, so nothing makes me happier than showing you this tool, Simon. Let's take a look at Gemini in Classroom. This was showcased to me at BETT, along with several of our guests who joined us in BETT itself. Now, imagine being a teacher and wanting to interact directly with Classroom. You can see that in this example, we're going to type the @sign in, type Classroom, and then get understanding on what are the top 3 concepts from the last 2 assignments that I taught. Now, this is really exciting. As an ex-teacher myself, getting this kind of data at my fingertips with a tool like Gemini would have really helped me. It would have not only helped me on my workload, but it would have helped me in terms of enhancing my lessons and how I can support my students. So you can see that there's some really cool information coming through. And it's even giving me next steps with how to address this. So let's fly to the next slide and have a look at exactly what kinds of ways I can utilize Gemini to help me with those next steps. So thinking about the concepts that were highlighted, I'm going to be away for the next lesson. I have to set my cover work, and I want to make sure that this is in line with what the students have been working on already, in line with the topics that I've been teaching, and in line with the concepts that they've been struggling with. So all of these actions or prompts have gone into Gemini, have utilized all the information in Classroom. And what we're doing right now is creating a 40-minute substitute or cover lesson plan. This includes all of the activities that we've highlighted in the prompt. So it's an interactive activity. We've even got printable activities for those of you who still like to print. Now, if we fly to the next slide, and for those of you who really love Classroom and know it quite well, you will see that there's an ability to, in Classroom, to make that announcement to all of your classes when you know that you're not going to be there to deliver the lesson yourself, to make sure that they have the information on, you'll have a cover teacher, this is what you'll be focusing on, which means that at scale, you have gone from analysing what their concepts they were struggling with, producing the content on what they can be learning, and then distributing that to all of your classes, which back in the day would have taken me a really long time. So we're really excited to hear what you think on this topic. Do you think this is a cool feature? Is this something that you'll be using?
Thank you, Anu. Yeah, amazing update. So last year, we partnered with educators to develop more than 30 AI tools in Google Classroom, all free of charge. And we thought about the best ways to bring Gemini into Google Classroom, to help you with common teaching tasks. So we're talking about resource creation, making rubrics, coming up with new activities to help students learn and engage more. The best part, we announced these tools are available free of charge, so educators around the world can collaborate with Gemini, bringing their teaching to life.
And now you can access all the benefits of Gemini in Classroom on the go. How about that? Whether you're on your Google Pixel or perhaps an iOS device or an Android phone, it's there for you when you need it.
And now we're going to talk about a set of features that have been requested for a long time. I've heard a lot about this, actually, starting with audio lessons. So just click this. Educators can generate and share audio lessons in Classroom. You can see there, we're just in Classroom and just jump to it, set the target grade, set what the topic is, and get it to run. And you can see here, you can select a voice for a teacher and avatars as well for teacher and students, generate that. That's available now globally, which is amazing.
Nice.
So
Hello.
basically what we're getting
Today
is
we are going to dive
an
into the
audio
world of
lesson
ancient Greek
generated
philosophy and learn
between
about
two people
three
discussing a
incredible
topic.
thinkers.
You can export that later on to Google Slides as well, which is really cool. It's available starting today, so you have immediate access to new ways. And I think it's really interesting, right? Like when we think about how people learn, like let me share something.
Please.
I'm learning Italian at the moment, and I can't tell you how many times I've tried to learn Italian, but I'm listening to some really, really good podcasts, and actually, like I do find that I learn a lot better when I'm listening to when I'm taking things in from an auditory perspective. So I think there's that element too to consider, right? How we make being more accessible with the tools to meet the different styles of learning as well of our students out there.
Absolutely, really good point. And in this next feature, so attaching AI learning experiences to assignments, and we're enabling teachers to directly integrate their notebooks or their gems into the courseware that they're using. So why is this important? I want you to imagine classrooms full of students, and perhaps they are stuck on a particular topic. And, you know, back in the old days, it might be a raising the hand or asking for support. But now they can go and access your resources directly through Classroom. This means that it's contained to what you want them to look at, and it's available as an additional support. And it goes back to that point around personalized learning, a personalized support tool, also making it a lot more control for the teacher and the human in that loop to make sure that the resources you want your students to look at are there and available within the tools you choose. So this is a pretty cool feature, probably one of my favorites.
Amazing. Insight. Let's talk about digital goggles. So what's the feature? We're bringing more transparency to AI usage. Again, I know we've been hearing this a lot, right? Like we've had a lot of teachers, we've had a lot of education leaders, we've had ministries of education come to us and say, hey, this is great. You know, we get it. You know, we're in the age of generative AI and this functionality is out there, but we really need to understand how it's being used so that we can monitor effectively and make sure we're getting the best out of it, which is absolutely understandable. It makes sense. So coming soon, educators will be able to see actionable insights on how your students are interacting with teacher-led GEMS and Notebook LM.
Nice.
So again, there's that control aspect. So, you know, transparency, right, across these experiences. So it's going to come globally to Education Plus and Teaching and Learning. Basically, you're going to see those actionable insights, like, you know, top questions, topics engaged, for example. And really, like from a pedagogical point of view, it's the transparency, it's that reflective approach to AI learning experiences.
It's like that feedback loop that's always happening in lessons. Like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so this one, again, is something that I saw this January at BETT. We get asked about this so much. Can I bring a grading rubric into Classroom? And the answer is, when we click play, yes, you can. So we are simplifying the grading setup process by allowing you to bring any grading rubric file into Classroom right from within the assignment of the creation workflow. All you now have to do is you can convert PDF, add a drive file, add a local file, and then this saves time having to retype that criteria every time you want to have a specific type of assessment per lesson. So again, tell us in the chat, what do you think? Which is your favorite tool? And moving straight into the next one, building on the grading rubrics, we can now tag international assignments for national curriculum standards directly into Classroom. You can see that it's now piloting in a few different places across the world. For the UK, we are now integrating national curriculum standards, which is a big step because we know that so many of you have asked for this in the past. What else is happening?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening. Someone's commented that Notebook LM is their favorite tool.
Wow.
So I can't see who that was. I'm sorry, I can't see who that was, but thank you for making that comment.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
love to hear how it's Pete. Pete, thank
Hey,
you,
Pete.
Pete. Hello, Pete. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it is a great tool. I use it a lot. It'd be interesting to hear, Pete, how you actually love to use it. Like, what's your favorite use case of Notebook LM, right? Because everyone has pretty different ideas about how they like to use it as well. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I think I need to go ahead of slide, don't I?
That's right.
Thank you. So a few extra audio and video recording updates in Classroom. So with seamless audio and video recording, in class, like integrated into classroom.
Yeah.
Again, we've been asked about this a lot. You can provide, as an educator, personalized feedback across every stage of the classroom workflow. So from the announcements to grading, and this is important, right? It's not just about the educators. Students also have the ability to demonstrate their understanding through multimodal assessments in classroom, right? So they also have access, which is pretty great. This is rolling out now. It's rolled out to Education Plus and Teaching and Learning customers. We're going to dive a little bit across the next couple of slides to get across this in a bit more detail.
I was thinking there's a lot of cool stuff coming to Plus and Teaching and Learning.
There is.
Yeah.
There is a lot. So it's a good point. Let's pause on that for a second, actually. Okay. This is unscripted, but like, it's a really good point, because if you think about all these amazing tools here, even in classroom, audio and video capabilities in classroom, but you think about like Gemini Workspace, which used to just sit in, more premium paid SKUs, right?
Yeah.
Google AI Pro for Education. It's now been made available to Education Plus and Teaching and Learning. What is that about? I think I'll take a moment to explain. It's really about giving our customers as much access to great AI features and tools as possible, right? So I think you'll see more of this. You'll see features that might appear in more premium add-ons initially, and sometimes you'll see them flow onto our other editions like Education Plus and Teaching and Learning. Sometimes you'll see them flow right through to Education Fundamentals, which is our edition offered at no charge. So I think it's important just to kind of take a moment to understand, like, we're moving really fast. We're all moving really fast. But what we want to do is support as much as we can our education community, you, all you wonderful viewers out there, with as much access as possible going forward. So we're excited, if you can't tell. We're excited. So here's another one.
We're on.
What is the feature? So we're talking about we're talking about delivering those, how does that show up, right? The audio and video recordings in classroom. In one way, it shows up in the stream. So I'm sure you're all familiar that the stream is the digital heartbeat of the class, let's say, right? And text announcements, great, but sometimes it's easy to just scroll past them. So how do you bring them to life? And you can do that, right, by either
hello everyone,
using,
and welcome
recorded
to
video,
Travel Week.
or perhaps you just want
Bring
an
in
audio
your passport
announcement.
projects to
For
share
example,
with
I
the
know like
class.
voice notes are so popular.
Love a voice note.
Hello
Yeah,
everyone,
so
and welcome to Travel
perfect for
Week.
weekly overviews, quick reminders, welcoming students, for example. So, how do you ensure that your message isn't just seen, but it's actually heard, right? Fully absorbed. I think that's
it's so
the key
powerful, like seeing your own teacher share a video message about something. I almost feel like I'd listen to it more,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've talked about how much we love voice notes and video notes, but thinking about personalized feedback, building on what Simon's already shared, now as educators, you can attach these audio and video notes to enhance feedback. So as a learner, or thinking about accessibility, how does a learner prefer to receive their feedback? How can you at scale support learning in a much more personalized way? So let's just take a look at what that looks like in practice. We talked about diving into a specific class. We're looking at a specific piece of work. And in this case, you can see the teacher adding a quick video note that goes directly onto the presentation.
I'm looking at your
that the
treasure
student
fleet
can listen
slide.
to. How personalized
First off,
is that?
stats
Like, this
on the
is
ship
pretty cool.
sizes are
Yeah, this is really
incredible.
cool. This is
I didn't
just seeing
realize
it
they
actually in
were
real time
much
is
bigger
exciting.
than
I
other
wish I had
ships.
this, by the way.
Here
too.
is my
Would have been
challenge for
helpful.
you.
It would have been so much
This
helpful
is a
for my
massive
maths
undertaking,
GCSE, I'll
this
tell you that now.
voyage.
Yes.
What are some of the
But
reasons for
moving
why
swiftly on, so some of you might remember when Classroom first came to being, which was 12 years ago, Simon. Classroom would now be the age of a year 7 student just starting secondary school. That's wild. But we've completely transformed Classroom. We've been asked about this for quite some time, and our product team have listened. They've redesigned the Classroom homepage so that you can see all of your different features up close and personal. So what does this mean? This means that your new interface really thinks about the educator and the learner. You can see current assignments, class insights. You've got a little stream for upcoming deadlines and modules to stay organized. And what's really cool about this for leaders in particular, for those of you listening who are in leadership, you can view those insights at a glance and have quick links to the admin console. Now, the Gemini tab is also being reorganized to create clearly like separate access from Gemini for Education and Notebook, but it's basically meant to be a lot more intuitive. So if you've already seen this, then let us know what you think in the chat and in the comments.
And we actually have had another comment here from Henrik, who said that his favorite tool is Gems.
Oh, okay. So we've got one supporter for Notebook, one supporter for Gems.
I do love a gem as well, actually. Good shout. So I've been asked to tell a little story here.
I asked you.
Yes, and you asked me to tell a story, and it will make sense, right? Because we're going to talk about class tools, but let me take you back in the time machine, tell you a little story about a little boy. We don't know who that is. He grew up in the 80s. Let's say his name was Fireman Sosolo. Okay, and to cut a long story short, little Fireman was easily distracted as a child. Really, very easily. And by the time Fireman was, in first grade, they used to call me Forgetful Jones. Now, if you don't know, Forgetful Jones is a Sesame Street character that would just get distracted and forget everything. And, I was the same, right?
Actually made me quite emotional.
I would forget what I was doing. I'd forget which direction I was meant to go in. I'd forget to tie my shoelaces. I'd forget my pencil case.
No.
So just imagine little Fireman, you're an educator out there, and perhaps you've got like quite a few more of me in your class. I know you do. And now they have screens in front of them, right? Little Firemans with screens and lots of fun tabs to explore and get excited about as well. So I know this is actually a reality for you all, right? Every single day, like focus it's difficult, right? We're in a noisy environment at times. There's lots of bells and whistles. And I would actually say it's even easier to kind of go off on a tangent now. So we're going to share what we're doing with class tools to really support you to deal with the Fireman Sosolas of the world. That's the name of the game. And I feel like I'm being set up here because yes, I do remember the early days of EdTech. You might remember them too, right? When we go to a computer lab, one of the best parts of the day, it was awesome. Pod can jump, pod can run, pod can fly. If you know, you know. And what was great about it? Well, it allowed students to really, take the reins and have control and make mistakes and fix them with these computers. And that was great, but it was once a week. It wasn't a fully immersive experience, but now we moved on. It is a fully immersive experience. We don't have to worry about device availability, expectations around hardware have evolved. What we need to do is create better solutions to support the reality that we're all in right now.
Yeah.
So that's a great way probably to introduce class tools, a solution to support greater engagement. And it's not just about the focus in the classroom, but also the engagement, right?
Absolutely. What a great intro to one of our absolute favorite tools. So if you are already using class tools, you will know that you need to be using this on a Chromebook and with Workspace Plus Edition. So please do let us know in the chat how you're finding this so far. Now, what we've done is we have shown you, for those of you at home who haven't seen class tools before, a teacher view and a student view. So what you'll see that is happening on this screen is that we are putting some students into a specific class. This is the teacher view currently. We are going to start a new session. We have very specific resources that we're going to include from Classroom. You can see that we're working on something to do with dinosaurs today. Exciting. Now I'm going to fly us over to the next screen. And this might be a student view. I'm sure that as teachers, you may have had to encounter students who open up the screens and then maybe go to the games or perhaps go to another document that they shouldn't be on. This is what a student would see when class tools is in effect. When you click that focus mode or when you click lock, that screen becomes locked and your attention is back on the teacher. Now, as a student view, let's just take it back from the top again. So they're playing their Pac-Man. You as the teacher want to maintain control. Perhaps you want all eyes on you at the front for a moment. You'll get this little notification as a student. And then when we go to focus mode, the student is only able to view the right tabs that you have put in front of them, which is really cool. I wish I had this when I was teaching. So what you'll see here is another feature of class tools. It's not just about the behavior, it's not just about the learning experience. It's also going back to accessibility, which is something that we've mentioned quite a few times now. It's very, very important in everything we do. imagine you've got students from different backgrounds coming with English as an additional language, or who perhaps can't speak English. So they might need to access those resources in a way that suits them. And how do we do that? You at the front of the room as a teacher, or perhaps at the back of the room, or the side of the room, wherever you want to be in that room, you will be talking, and the students get a chance to translate and have captions in a language that suits them. Now, sometimes, and I think we find this with Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, a lot of folks like having captions on anyway. I know that I always turn on my Netflix captions, but I am not a Gen Z. But I think it just goes to show wherever the learner finds things most helpful and how they can engage with the lesson is super important. So that's like an added cherry on the top when it comes to class tools. And this is exactly what you as a student would see in action. So show captions of my teacher's voice. Here we go with the live captions, and then you can translate it to a language of your choosing, meaning that every student is brought along that journey in class and you can really have progress made. We've got a comment actually from Christina, class tools is the best and can't wait for it to get even better. Love that. Would love to know how it can get even better. Is this a good time to mention about feature requests? Have we got time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in every Google tool, folks, listeners, watchers, if you see a little question mark, you can click on that question mark and request a feature. Those features get read by humans, so they will be reviewed by a human. And then if you let us know that you've made that feature request, we can even upvote it internally. So, you know, some of the best and coolest products came from the community making feature requests. So please get your requests in.
Absolutely. And I also see a couple of other points here. So Pete's shared, thanks for sharing, Pete. Yeah, you get to blow the minds of teachers on how they can use Notebook-LM with the students. And interesting, using it from Sheffield College, shout out Sheffield College. Interesting, using it as how we speak on it helps our SEND students, right? Yeah, that's perfect.
Amazing.
That's a great, there it is. That's a great use case. Really, really interesting. And yeah, do try gems. It's fantastic, right? Like I have different gems for different tasks. Like, so I'll just explain that really quickly if it's okay.
Please.
We've got a little bit of time. So
we got time.
Just in case for those of you, we didn't talk about gems because we've shared it before, but like just to explain gems, I think about it like this. So you have Gemini for Education, you know, gemini.google.com, and you'll go in there and chat in that experience, and it's great. And I think of Gemini for Education as a friendly stranger, right? It doesn't know your context, but you introduce yourself, you give it the context, you shake its hand, you know, when you make friends, right? But if you come back to it, it's a friendly stranger again. It doesn't remember that every time you create a new chat, right? But a gem is friend for life, because you introduce yourself, you give it the instructions, you give it the context, you set that up however you want, you add your own information, and really like enrich that experience. And it could be because, you know, perhaps, for example, you're dealing as an IT admin, or you're very technical and you want it to have that knowledge and that response. You set it up, and then it's good to go. When you come back to it, that gem, and ask it a question, it remembers you.
It remembers.
So it knows exactly, you know, the kind of output that you're looking for, which is basically saving you a lot of time, right? You don't have to build that context in every single time. So just an explainer on gems.
That is very cool. And it's good to see that people are using them. We've got a question in, Simon. Can Gemini in guided learning analyze a student's incorrect response and explain the specific errors they are making? We've got a simple answer here, folks. It is yes. Please have a go. We've got a really wonderful case study that came in from Leeds City College, where a student has been using guided learning, and it's really supported their journey. We're actually going to present on some of these case studies that we're capturing. So if you have a really good use case that you'd like to share with us, please keep sending them in. But thank you also for the question. Sorry, we don't know who asked that question, but it was a great one.
It's a great question, because it will explain errors, but it will do it and again, it's in the name, right? In a guided way. Like, it's, again, the main point is that, you know, think about it like this. Is it helpful? Generative AI came out. We've all experienced it, and so amazing, right? To just get answers to your questions. And is that helpful? Somewhat, for sure, right? In a learning context, is that helpful? Not always, because, you know, really, what is learning just about? Just question, answer, question, no. Like, it's a journey, right? So that's where we really are infusing. We actually have Learn LM. I haven't even mentioned. I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, do it.
Which infuses, learning science principles. So we partner with a lot of institutions, did a lot of research, and spent a lot of time investment on this to build Learn LM, which informs Gemini at its core to be able to give, develop tools like guided learnings, which is a direct result of this, because it's, we want to make sure that these tools are not just giving answers, but they're actually pedagogically sound, and really, really supporting the art of teaching and learning, right? Rather than working against you.
Absolutely. And talking about working against us, the clock is not working against us. We still have some time.
Oh, we've got time.
So let's keep looking. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we do. Bear with us. Do teachers have to have a Chromebook to use CAS tools? The answer is yes, you do. And there are so many great Chromebooks for teachers. In fact, some of the devices that we're working on now are slightly more high spec and, look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there are some amazing devices out there for teachers and leaders. This also works, I believe, and I'll wait to be corrected if I'm wrong, on a device that has been flexed. So Chrome OS Flex, if you don't know it, then it is a free tool that turns old Windows and Mac devices or desktops into Chrome devices. It's free to do that. And then in order to manage them in your education environment, it's a one-off fee of, I think it's about £30 for a Chrome education upgrade license. But check in with your local reseller.
Can I use this moment to segue into and speak to this slide? Because it's a great question. You're right. You need a managed Chrome device, and you also need an Education Plus or a teaching and learning license. And it's just a good example, really, of our tools working together, right? So impressive functionality, but working together, and that's what we want to build more of, right? Our tools actually working together, and it speaks to the vision of the future of teaching and learning. So if I think about more broadly, what are we doing here on this slide? We're trying to show the example with class tools, but taking a step back, it's about having a unified ecosystem that's simple for you, right? So a unified ecosystem across devices, software, and of course, underpinned by safe, secure, and pedagogically sound, best-in-class AI, which is Gemini. But basically, none of this should be difficult. But I'm going to stress this: a tool should not be difficult to use. If it's difficult to use, it's no good, right? If it's not doing the job that you need it to do, we need to do better. That is what we invest our time in: is making these tools easy and intuitive, and speak together and make your life easy. And so we do want to hear the feedback from you. What's not working for you? What do you wish you had more of? Maybe you like this, but it could be good if you had a little bit of salt and pepper over here. For example, actually, some of those feedback ones, how we've had our best, it's not like a shock or anything, right? The tools are built for you. They're built for educators and learners, right? So it makes sense that, when we truly are honed in on your feedback and we're building for you, then we feel confident about the tools that we're putting out there into market.
It often built by educators as well. There's a whole host of educators, consultations, people in the team. There's a whole load of us who are previous educators as well. Should we fly on? Looks like we've got some next steps in Q&A coming up. But let's see if we've got time for questions.
Yeah. We will look at that if we've got a little bit of time, but I just want to take the moment to also say, on behalf of us, thanks everyone for joining. We've covered a lot of ground. A lot. We could cover a lot more, but sometimes we wanted to sort of bring you the latest, right, of some of the key areas. We hope it's been valuable. We will take some more questions in a minute, but let's also just have a look at some of these upcoming sessions. What do you think?
Let's do it. Yes, these sessions are here to help you. And if you haven't already checked out edu-on-air, there are so many great sessions that you can watch on demand. So if you want to sign up, we've got another session happening on March 24th and then March 25th. This one's all about managing Gemini and Google across the Chrome platform. And then the next one on the 25th of March is about creating classroom content with Gemini for Education. So keep watching, keep tuning in. They're all some really useful sessions for you. And I think before you go, please do submit your feedback. Simon and I would be delighted to hear what you thought, but we'd also be delighted to hear how you're using the tools. Would you like to be showcased as a case study? We would love that. So let us know.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, with the feedback is key. So thank you. We appreciate it so much, and the time that it takes to do it. We would love for you to do that. It helps us improve as well. So there are a couple of other comments here we could have a look at. So Wolverhampton College.
With Conrad. Hey, Conrad.
Shout out, Conrad. We are leveraging GEMS to support our GCSE maths students by analysing mock exam results to identify specific areas for improvement. We provide a dedicated gem for each topic to ensure targeted personalized development. Wow, that's a really interesting use case. Thanks for sharing that, Conrad. That might have a few other viewers out there thinking about doing a similar thing.
Yeah, Conrad, I wish you were my maths teacher when I was growing up. This is fantastic.
Perfect. Great. I think that was all of the comments. Localization, there's one about localization here. I don't have the answer for that, the Icelandic language. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'd have to double check that and come back to you on that one. Thank you for asking the question. We know localization is important. Maybe I'll just take a quick moment to share, like, localization is such an important theme, right? Especially for our markets. We're sitting here in Europe, Middle East, Africa, right? Like, we're sitting here in Europe. We have a lot of languages to get across. And when it comes to localization, when the team works on localization, there's a difference between just straight up very quick translation and like true localization. So we spend a lot of time making sure it's right before it goes out, so that we don't have like negative kind of experiences when we put localization out there. But great question. We'd have to double check on that for you. Thanks for asking.
Folks, it looks like that might be the end of our time together in the questions. But Simon, what a pleasure it's been doing this with you. Thank you.
Thank you, and you.
And thank you, our watchers and listeners. We've really enjoyed this and look forward to seeing you on the next edu-on-airs.
Stay tuned for more Anu and Simon shows. Bye.
Bye.